the recording.
I didn't see any pictures.
And I would like to welcome you
When Phil,
to the, I'd like to welcome you to what is now the 8th session of a workshop series. It didn't start off to be a series, but it's become a series. And I really, really appreciate everybody participating. There's a few things that I want to show you very quickly. And one is the updated marketing page on the evgdistrict.com website. It is now in 2 parts. And so the first part has a new element that I'm trying to add, which is celebrate your little successes. So I'd like to encourage anyone within this meeting, if your chapter has done something recently that you want to brag about, and it doesn't have to be a big success. As a matter of fact, I would prefer a little success just to show people that stuff is going on within the district. That would be great. And this page also includes some of the videos about features and benefits and a complete look at marketing and so on and so forth. As I said, it comes in 2 parts. So there's now a second page, which is called Marketing Tidbits, assuming it will open. Why is it waiting for YouTube? Anyway, Marketing Tidbits. This is where you'll find a toolbox of all kinds of different things that you can use for your chapter, how to SWOT your chapter, ideas about selling your chapter, how to build a master calendar if you're writing copy for print or media. There's a worksheet in there, and then all of the monthly articles that have been done to date. So we're up to August, and that's a simple click, and you find yourself at a very slow PDF file, which you can download and use if necessary. So I just wanted to share that information with you and make sure that you are aware of it. Use it as much as you can. And we are also the other thing that I wanted to mention is that if you have been searching for the @Fab Quartet, or if you don't know what I'm talking about, check it out. But it's an opportunity to actually win your way into Reunion and Friends, the October event, the district convention. And there's free passes that are being given away, and it'll be done in a drawing. What you have to do is search the website, find the logo with the quartet on it, click on it. It will open up an email. You just give us your information, send it in, and there will be a drawing on August 31st. So there's still time to get involved with that. And I'm allowed to give you a hint. It's where the heroes live. So that's your hint. It's where the heroes live. That's where you'll find it. We're going to go quickly around the Zoom room. I would like everyone to kind of give me an idea of who you are, your chapter, your position within the chapter, and how long you've been a barbershopper. And so we're going to start with my screen. So we're going to jump to Judith, and you're up first.
Hi, Judith Sibbald. I live on Vancouver Island. I sing with Pacific Edge Chorus in Victoria. I am recently retired treasurer / bookkeeper, which I've done for over 6 years, and board member. So that's it for me.
Okay. Doug, you're up. Muted.
There we go. That helps. It works better. So I'm Doug Borngasser. I live down in Grants Pass. I sing with the Rogue Voices. I'm the chapter treasurer for life, I guess, at this point.
That tends to happen.
Yeah, I think, what am I, 15 plus years at least at this point that I've been the treasurer.
Okay. And how long have you been singing?
22 years now.
Okay, good. Fran, you're up. And you're muted.
You can unmute them, by the way, or at least request that.
I didn't want you to hear all the gurglings around my household, so there you go. Fran Arrington, I'm from Pacific Edge Chorus as well, from Sweet Adeline. So we heard about you through Carol Argue, who's in the West Coast Harmony Chorus. Yes, and I'm past president, yeah, and was president for 6 years, 7 years actually. We do have a rule in Sweet Adelines that or at least our chapter, you can only be a certain role on the board, even on the board for no more than 6 years. You have to leave for a year. So, Doug, you might want to bring that little clause into your rules. I've been a barbershopper in ours is in Victoria, but I was also in Nanaimo chorus. So just over
Oh.
20 years. Over 20 years in Sweet Adelines.
Okay, and talking about social media, the two ladies from Pacific Edge Chorus came in not through the Evergreen website. They came in actually through my Facebook page, is how Carol found out about it and how the information circulated. So basically, you just never know. So try everything. Kaylin, you're next.
Hello, everyone in harmony, right?
Yes.
Kaylin from Star Harmony Chorus. We're newly chaptered in Star, Idaho. And I've been a barbershopper for 22 years.
Terrific. Let's move to Laura.
Hello, I'm Laura Pennington, and I am the Secretary Treasurer of Star Harmony Chorus. We chartered in March. We have 14 members. I am a 33-year Sweet Adeline and now a 2-year BHSer.
Yay.
Very good. Mark, you're up.
I sing with the Rogue Voices. I live in Grants Pass, Oregon, about half a mile from Doug. I've been a barbershopper for 25 years. First 3 years in San Jose, and then I moved to Grants Pass. So I've been 22 years with the Rogue Voices, and during that time, there was 1 year when I was not on the board, 6 years when I was president, and right now, Rogue Voices almost doesn't exist. There are 6 of us that showed up last week at rehearsal. I think I'm the secretary, but we're not very official yet right now about who's on the board or what their offices they hold.
Okay, terrific, Mark. Maybe you might have some answers in this meeting. Karen, you are up next.
Hi, I'm Karen Caldwell. I'm the director of the Federal Way Harmony Kings, and I've been in barbershop for, well, I started when I was in high school, and but been with the Harmony Kings for 14 years. And Greg used to be our president, so
Yay.
we owe a lot of our success to him.
Thank you very much. Your check is in the mail. Tyler, you're up.
Oh,
Hi, my name's Tyler. I've been in barbershop now for about 4 years, and I am the vice president of marketing for the Seattle Seacordsmen. And this is my first year doing it, so I'm still totally trying to find my footing.
Awesome.
You guys have been doing some cool stuff recently too.
Yeah.
Jason, you're up.
Hi, I'm Jason Collins. I'm the resident tech guy for the Gentleman of Fortune here in Vancouver.
And how long you been singing?
Oh, I think about 7 years now.
Cool, great. Well, we have a wealth of experience here. I'm Greg, and I'm the Evergreen Chapter Marketing Advisor, a position that I accepted in December. I am either a 18-year or a 17-year barbershopper. I actually had 2 years where I was an unpaid member of barbershop, so that's the way it goes. And but I was marketing VP for Harmony Kings for 3 years. I was the president for 3 years, so I spent 6 years on their board. Recently have been singing with Tacoma Vocal Standard, and I took this position because deep down inside, I would like chapters to figure out how to thrive in a COVID era. And so I took it on and have been working as hard as I can to help the chapters out, which brought me to an idea. And I'd like to introduce now my idea. Ladies and gentlemen, Amy Rose.
Oh, thanks everyone for joining us today. I love teaching these classes, and it's because social media is a component of marketing but it can be probably the most intimidating sometimes and hardest to get your hands around, especially if you're just starting out or rebuilding or pivoting. So thanks everyone for being here today. And the hope is that you'll come away with some helpful, practical things that you can really start doing right away that will help. So we'll just jump right in. So first message, do not panic. It's going to be okay. I'm going to share my, you're getting my screen, yeah? Not quite yet. Let's do that. There we go. And I'm going to get my chat over here so I can see it. Perfect. Great. So step one is don't freak out. It's going to be okay. A lot of this job and a lot of the job of managing social media and having it support your marketing efforts is just learning new skills. And so if you can just break it down and do small steps and just link them together, it doesn't have to take over your whole entire life. And give yourself some grace too, because in any effective company or nonprofit, the social media manager, the website person, those are full-time jobs, and they're full-time jobs for a reason. So, you know, it's really important to just not be too hard on yourself or set up expectations that just aren't realistic. And we'll talk through how to do that and keep things moving forward. So just a quick overview, social still does matter. I saw a couple of you sent questions in and kind of asking about, so like, where are people? Is this still a thing we should be doing? And I'd say absolutely yes. Having a social media presence does a few things for you. First, it says we are real. We're an established identity. We exist in the world. We are something that you want to be a part of, right? It also says we're active and engaging, and we are in our communities, and we're an organization that you can interact with in some way, whether it's coming to a show, seeing us perform, coming to a rehearsal, just following our social media because you like what we're doing. All of that, it conveys a message that maybe if the only way people interact with you is on social, it's still building that relationship. It also tells people about what you're doing. You're creating experiences, right? A performance, a rehearsal, a social event, a fundraiser in your community. All of those are experiences that people can be a part of either online or in person and show up and engage with you in some way. And social gives you like an easy invitation to do that. And lastly, it allows you to show how welcoming a community you are. You know, Barbershop is, that's a thing we're known for. Barbershoppers are, you know, aggressively friendly, as I like to say. And people are welcome to come into our community. And so through social, this is another way to demonstrate that value that a lot of our choruses have. So it definitely is still relevant and worth time. So whether you're getting started fresh, or you're rebuilding, or you're just doing an audit of what you're doing now and are looking to kind of improve, there's really three things that you need to tackle first. So we'll walk through each of those, but the breakdown is making a plan, building out your team, and then setting the tone for what those communications sound like and look like as you launch. So we'll go through each of these things. So when you're making a plan, this does not have to be an 18-page marketing dossier of extraordinary proportions. This can be very, very, very simple. So you want to think about three things I think are the most important. You want to think about platform. So that means, is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? Like, where are we going to be doing this? The most important thing I think to consider is, where's your audience? So most of the time, and I can tell you in most cases, barbershoppers in general are still fairly active on Facebook in a general way. So I would say if you can only do one platform, which is completely fine and will make things more manageable for you, I would always start with Facebook. One, because the audience is there. Two, because you probably already have some sort of presence there that you're growing instead of establishing. And three, Facebook is the most flexible and it lets you do a lot of different things. You can post links easily, you can post videos easily, you can, it really is set up to share a lot of different types of content, where some of the other platforms are better at some types of content over others. Facebook, you can pretty much hit everything. And it's a little bit easier to use, mostly because we're all a little bit more familiar with it, probably. Lastly, for platform, you also want to consider where are we already and what's working. So if you have a fairly decent number of Facebook followers, let's lean into that. There's no reason to create a whole bunch of different channels and have a really shallow presence in a bunch of different places. That can work, but it requires a lot of time investment to do it that way. So really focusing your time and energy and doing one platform really well and building consistency and keeping your content engaging will work wonders and will make more of an impact than doing a little bit and spreading that all out. So it's okay to not be everywhere all the time. And we'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through too. So let's think about content type. This means a lot of different things. So content is video. That video is either video that someone else has made that you want to share. It's video that you create live. It's video that you create and edit and share later. And that could be performances, but it could also be interviews. It could also be little 30-second little advertisement-y things that you can build. There's a wide variety. Content is also photos. That can be photos from an event or a performance that is currently happening. It can also be a roundup of photos from here's a great thing we did last week. Photos can be throwback photos from years past, fun, the old costume photos from 20 years ago are always really fun. And it's a great way to talk about, the longevity of the chorus, to honor members that were important, to give your current members like a fun look back at, oh, this is what we looked like 10 years ago today. Or if you're having an anniversary come up, it's always fun to go back into the archives and dig some of that out. All of that is great content. Photos could also be a quote. I've seen some choruses do birthdays. Small choruses can pretty easily do that. So it's a member's birthday and they have a template and they put in a photo and they do the thing. It can be quotes from your rehearsal. It can be a weekly post of, what our director said, and that's silly. It could be quotes from members about their member experience. It could be a whole variety of different things, and those can be made into a photo image. And then what I would do is you have it in the photo image, and then the post also has that language so that it keeps it accessible. So if people are using screen readers or something, they can still get that text. Content is also links to your website where you might have useful information about a performance, about your director, about how to join, about rehearsals. It can be, if you have a blog or a news section on your website, that's great content. You can link to your own website. You can also link to other articles, blogs, news stories, any of that. So the list of content is actually quite long, and most of it you don't have to make yourself. Sometimes, well, most of the time, my favorite content is the content I did not have to sit down and make. So really looking and so for some people, they like make a big list of all the different types of things it could be. And kind of start populating that. Some people use a spreadsheet and say, every time I see a link that might be interesting for the chorus, I'm going to just throw it in this Google Doc or this spreadsheet, or I'm going to save that link. And then when I'm sitting down to schedule things out or work on social, then I can go to this list and I don't have to find it again. I have all of that content. I think for social media folks and people who are creating content, the biggest place we gather is in our regular lives as we're just kind of going through social media or reading our news blog for the day or seeing what other people are sharing and liking. Like, that's all fair game. And it's really easy to just have like an open document, grab a link and throw a bunch of things in there to deal with later. You don't have to do anything with it, but creating for yourself that library of content, like, future you will be so grateful to past you for doing that, because it just makes all of this so much easier. So the other thing to think about content too is what is easiest for your and most comfortable for you, your social media person or your group to generate. I know a lot of choruses often feel like they have to post, they can only really post singing, and that's the most important thing. And it's really not. It's important, but we know you're a choir, so that's not something you have to demonstrate a whole lot. I think for social and for right now, a really important thing is demonstrating that you're a community of people who care about each other. And so sometimes a photo of your members doing something fun together, a photo of 2 or 3 or 5 people laughing, wide shot from back of the room of your director in front of the chorus and just showing like this, you know, this is what it looks like to be here. Backstage fun things. Those are often more compelling than your contest video, because people will can see themselves in, oh my gosh, that looks like a really great group of people. I like to sing. They look like fun. I should probably check that out. And then you get that in-person recruitment, which is so critical for Barbershop and is far more effective. We all know that, you know, we kind of heard about Barbershop, we're like, yeah, whatever. And then we showed up somewhere and just kind of went, oh my gosh, this is awesome, and stayed. And those are the people you want to grab, right? So think about what shows off your group best. Think about what you have access to. Think about kind of those pieces of content that are easy to get. So content is a big deal, but if you can set yourself up for success by creating a little bit of a library for yourself, that's really helpful. We'll talk a little bit more about other sources as we go through. Lastly, keeping your platform healthy and thriving means posting consistently. So posting every day is easy and fun for exactly 3 days. And then it becomes the most terrible thing you've ever done in your life, because that pace is just not sustainable at all for a volunteer organization like choruses. It's too much, and it's more than you need. So think about the number, you know, where you are, your platforms. I would say best practice for me is like 1 or 2. And then think about what can I or my team execute consistently. Can we post once a week, every week? The consistency of that is really the critical piece, because if a page is dormant for 6 months, comes alive around a show, and then it's buy tickets, buy tickets, buy tickets, buy tickets, buy tickets, and then goes away and goes dormant, that's not going to be the most fun social media experience for the people that follow you. A much more pleasant relationship is you follow a chorus and they consistently post interesting things of different types, and it doesn't have to be more than once a week. It just is like this consistent drip of things. And then within that, there's also a show when you get into that season. And so then people are familiar with you, and they're probably more likely to actually pay attention if they're already kind of in relationship with you, right? So keeping that page alive and consistent is looking at a new organ or service or group or whatever, we'll go to their Facebook page and see how current it is. I know we've all done this with different things, like even if you're going to a new store or a new restaurant or something, if you go and the last post was 6 months ago, it's kind of less enticing versus, oh wow, they just posted a few days ago. Oh wow, they're fairly active. There's like a weekly thing. That's cool. That demonstrates kind of viability and participation and the fact that you are thriving. Even if it's a struggling time, it's a way to just say, we're real, we exist, we're here, be a part of us. And it's kind of in the back of the brain and not an overt, membership. So that's that frequency you want to make also achievable. So set yourself up for success. If it's twice a month, that's great. Just make sure it's twice a month. I think if you're building that library of content and really planning it out and scheduling things ahead, once a week is fairly achievable, particularly if you have more than one person. And we'll talk a little bit about the team as we move forward. So any questions about any of that so far before I continue on?
The whole thing,
Oh, sorry.
thing about platforms, there are so many options and so many of them are so good.
Yeah.
You didn't mention YouTube, and I think that's huge.
It is huge, and it for a small chorus just coming out of COVID who might not have a lot of video assets, it's not necessarily going to be the thing you can keep consistently on. And I think of it as an augmentation. So your YouTube channel exists to support your Facebook posting. You can send people into that and into those videos at any time. So that's a wonderful source of content, and you can embed them in your website. You can regularly post those things. And then another source of content is also like the YouTube in general, not just the chorus YouTube. But we're picking up a new song. Here's a Fancy Pants Quartet singing this song. We're so excited to learn it. Yeah. So things like that. So thank you, Mark. Yes, YouTube is a great source of content. Some people kind of get a little nervous about, oh, we have to create a YouTube channel, and you don't. And I wouldn't unless you have kind of a significant amount of content to put on it, or that you'll be creating content over the next period of time and it'll be populated.
Well, I sing in a quartet, and we've put a lot of our songs on YouTube.
Exactly.
And we've gotten good positive feedback from that.
Yes.
Another one is called Meetup. We've got a guy in our chorus who is a Meetup fan, and he's constantly posting stuff on Meetup, and people have come to us because they saw us there. So that seems like a good one.
That is a good one too. I've heard very mixed reviews about that. Some people, for some choruses, it works great. And for some choruses, it's been like, yeah, we do it, but we haven't really gotten much from it. So I'm a big fan of try everything and keep doing what's working. So if Meetup is a great funnel, like keep doing it.
Okay.
And if you kind of invested some time and it's not really generating much, then it's okay to let that go.
Yep.
Cool.
Amy Fran had her hand up.
Yeah. Let's unmute you, Fran.
Hate background noise. Okay. You mentioned that it should be consistent. So once a week is feasible, hopefully, or twice a month, even, as long as it's consistent. So if you have different platforms like Instagram, blah, blah, blah,
All right.
should they be sort of alternate, or do you work them, I guess, to save your own energy and focus, you would do it all at the same time?
I'm a big fan of kind of using that focus time that you're spending to get things in as many places as possible. So because you can post through Facebook to Instagram, and my favorite way is posting through Instagram to Facebook for photos and things like that.
Why is that better? Why is that better to go that way instead of the other way?
So I like the editing and the filter tools and the Instagram platform is really designed to be photos first. So if you're creating a photo post, I have found that I like the tools that I have in Instagram for photo editing are much more powerful than what you have in Facebook. Now, if you love doing all of your photos in Facebook, like, do that. But for me, I liked going through Instagram and then cross-posting into Facebook. It's personal preference. But do whatever works for you as you're experimenting.
You also mentioned Meetup and LinkedIn. LinkedIn is free, correct?
They're all free, and they all kind of, and LinkedIn has a paid component, which we don't really need to. And LinkedIn has become much more business focused. So I don't know that is going to serve you as well as focusing your energy on Facebook. If you have time and capacity to add something, I think LinkedIn can be something to experiment with. And again, if it works, keep it. If it doesn't, feel free to pitch it and not focus your energy there.
That's what our course found with Meetup. Judith was our treasurer, and we would do it for a while because people raved about it, and then it didn't work at all for us, so we canceled it, then picked it up again, and it never did. But that doesn't mean it won't in the future.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And so I think a lot of it is just trial and error. And I've heard that people love Meetup. People didn't see results from that. So, do what works.
Thank
Do
you.
what works. Great. Cool. Let's move on and talk about platforms, since we've been doing that a little bit. Just a quick overview. Facebook, I like, as if you're only going to do one, I would do Facebook. It's multifunctional. It's easier to share a lot of different types of content. The barbershop audience tends to be there. And it does a lot of things well. And you can do kind of also some businessy things there. There are a lot of add-ons and things that, obviously Facebook is adding new things all the time. So there's a lot of iteration of new things that you can check out and use. So if you've only got room for one, I would still do Facebook. You have room for two. I like adding Instagram. It's image driven, it's skewed slightly younger. They're actually doing a lot more video focus on Instagram now. So you can do like a lot of short snippet videos, which can be really fun. So maybe it's a vocal warm up, or it's a member talking about an upcoming thing, or it's just a quick scan of a rehearsal, or it's a choreography moment. A lot of those things. So I think Instagram gives you a lot of opportunity to show personality a little bit more. Facebook can be a little businessy, and you can obviously post whatever you want wherever, but I like to think of as Facebook is kind of a little bit more links and articles and video links out, and a little bit more of the business part. And then Instagram can be a little bit more, you can put kind of more fun things there and do that. I've shown Twitter here. I have not found there to be a huge impact from Twitter. And that's more headline focused. It's kind of short, quick things. But, again, in the spirit of try the things, if you have someone in your course that is just a Twitter fanatic and loves using them, then let's have them try it and do a little experiment around.
Can you connect through Instagram to Twitter and Facebook and all that?
Yeah, so I mostly, because I am in marketing for my job, I use like a scheduling platform that posts to everything. So I'm not totally up on where you can cross post from within but I know Facebook and Instagram are connected because they're both owned by the same company, so you can go back and forth. If you're doing like articles and things, a lot of times if you're on a website, it's like, oh, I want to get this article on our page, on our social, there'll be a lot of options, and you can say, oh, send in a Twitter post, send in a different thing, send to this channel. So if you have a Twitter account, because Twitter is so different from the others, it's usually easier to just post from the native platform there. We'll also, and Mark raised a good mention, we should also mention YouTube here as a very, very viable way to be sharing content. And so, you know, it kind of comes down to what type of content do you have. If you're more photos than video, then Instagram might serve you better. If you're creating a lot of video, then you might want to think about YouTube first and then posting snippets in Facebook or Instagram. So it's, but you know, again, you can also just do one thing and do it well. So these are all optional. The big thing is being consistent. So setting yourself up for success with like a realistic posting schedule that you can achieve. And then variety. So mixing up the types of content you're sharing. So one week it's a video, one week it's a photo, one week it's an article, and you just can kind of circle through that. I want to take a minute to digress into some graphic design help. Sometimes that is kind of the biggest barrier is, you know, I see all of these Instagram quotes and I see all these images and, oh my gosh, how do I put this all together? I am a massive fan of Canva as a graphic design tool. There's a free version. There's also a free for nonprofits version. Or with a lower fee. I can't quite remember how the nonprofit works, but it gives you access to a lot of great tools. Greg dropped the link for the nonprofits in the chat there. And it's just a really, really wonderful, intuitive, entry level, I think, way to, I want to give you an example here. Where's my Canva? And so if you're thoroughly versed in Photoshop, in all sorts of other things, like that's great, don't worry about it. But if you're a little overwhelmed by just graphic design in general and finding it tricky, I just want to have you take a look. So I just put this together for a quartet that I'm doing, and we needed a little logo. We're called Friends Club. And so I can edit the text and I can quickly change the typeface to a whole bunch of different options that are included. I can insert, and what I did to create this is I grabbed this template. Let me open up a blank guy. I grabbed this template and I said, I dig that look. That's pretty cool. So, but I want this to be a different color. So I'm going to change that. And maybe I don't want a light bulb there, but maybe I want something else. I go into my elements and I can Google, or not Google, I can search for barber pole, but I have to spell it right. Then it gives me a bunch of options. And I say, oh, look at that. That's pretty cute. I want to throw that up there. And that's going to be my little thing up here. And I'm going to change this to my quartet name. And I'm going to change this to our website. And maybe I want this a little bit bigger. So you can see that you can easily like move things around and adjust them just based on templates. And there are a cajillion. And so you can say, oh, I like that. I'm gonna make something. I like that. So I'm gonna grab that template and maybe I want my text to read something else. Oops, I'm bad at typing, but excellent at spelling. And then that looks kind of big, so I'm going to do maybe that, make it smaller. And then maybe that says quartet. And so I can play and play and play and play and do all these things and change sizes and change colors and experiment and do all these things. So I could, and then I say, great, I want to download that. And I select my current page and I can choose, do I want a JPEG? Do I want a PNG, which is also an image file? Is it PDF? You can create video in here. You can do all sorts of cool stuff, but it's a really great entry level, easy way to pull something together really fast that looks great. And using templates that you can just then use, brand colors. And this is just the Instagram templates. So I can say, oh, I want to resize this and I want it to be a Facebook cover, which is the image like at the very top of your Facebook page, that long image. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make a copy and resize that. Cool. And then it makes it that big. So I can say, oh, great. So I'm just going to adjust all of this, make that bigger, move it to the side. And maybe I'm going to add a photo of us. So I'll go in and grab, maybe I'll add a small circle frame. And I'm fast because I've been using this for 10 years. And that's not totally at the front. That's taken a while, but you get the idea. So we can adjust and add. And then again, each of these formats has a whole bunch of templates that goes with it. You can use this for PowerPoints. You can use this for flyers. You can use this for your show program. It has a lot of options. My recommendation is that you try it out on something real simple, like just a little logo or a quote image. You can even go in here if you're up in templates and you can say quote. Great, and it'll give you all of these different templates that you can try out. And you can make, your awesome kitten quote, which is, who doesn't love that, right? So lots of things to play with. So I think that's a tool I would love for you to know about and consider as a way to simplify some of your work. You can also connect your social media channel to Canva, and you can post directly to your Facebook or Instagram or Twitter right from inside Canva. So that's also another way to think about organizing your content together. You can create files. I would recommend just kind of going in. They have, the Canva website has a bunch of tutorials. They're wonderful about just having short videos to help you. So if you're looking for a way to just kind of help your graphic design and just kind of make that a little bit easier, that's one I really, really like. So let me go back to, and my little presentation slides are made in Canva. Let's see, to that and go back to where I was. Cool. This is one solution of many. So it's not the only way, but it's something that I found that has been really helpful to me. Cool. So here's your 3-step plan. You're going to do an audit of your current page. You're going to make sure that the bio and all of the written information is current. This is a great thing to do annually. So if you have information like award-winning chorus that formed 6 years ago, and then that 6 years becomes 7 and becomes 8 and becomes 9, so you want to keep those things current. You want to make sure that your contact info stays correct, particularly if you have committee heads or anything that will change as people come and go. You just want to make sure that you have that updated. And then I want to take a second and talk about photography. There aren't always a lot of opportunities to have great photos taken of the chorus that are not a part of like our official formal competition photo. That's a great photo to have. And if you get stage shots, some regions and districts provide you with kind of an option to like purchase, or will give you stage shots of your performances. Those are great to have. It's also incredibly useful to have casual images of the chorus, and those are a little bit trickier to come by. So my life hack on getting great photography for a few years worth of content is to schedule a photo day. This is not a part of a contest day. This is not part of a show day. This is just a time of a few hours. It can be on a chorus rehearsal night or not. But you're going to hire a photographer, and you're going to invest in a couple hours of their time. And you'll say, okay, chorus, we want you to have outfit A and outfit B. That could be your formal competition outfit and your casual performing outfit. That could be a unified color palette. Everyone wear some form of black and white. It could be anything you choose. I would have maybe 2 changes. And then you meet up at the place, you put on outfit 1, and you basically have a family photo shoot. And so you get little vignettes of, don't restart my computer. You get little vignettes of 3 or 4 or 5 people together, and it's images of the chorus enjoying each other and your members laughing together, close-ups of people singing. There's just, you just have build up this library of your chorus members looking great, having fun, and they're pictures that you've taken on a day where they're not stressed out about 17 other things that they've had to do. It's a great way to grab also shots of chapter quartets for your website. And then you put on outfit B and you do kind of the same thing over again. Little vignettes of people, big chorus shots, action shots. Then you have this library of professional quality images that you can reuse for years on your website, on your show posters, on your social media channels. It's great. And you can, with it, and if you're in Canva or another program, you can also do some basic photo editing on those. So maybe some of them can be black and white. I love using black and white for like rehearsal photos. It's kind of a behind the scenes sort of look. And then the show photos are in color. It's a fun way to kind of, have that Wizard of Oz effect, right? It feels kind of more intimate, and it's a fun way to give some variety to your channel. So regardless of how you capture photos, quality always wins over quantity. So if you have 5 great, sharp, good-looking images that you just reuse over and over again, that is going to work better for you than having 100 kind of okay, sort of fuzzy images that are like people that look like people standing around. Because that's what, I tell people all the time, that's tag singing does not photograph well. It looks like people standing around. You cannot capture the beauty and majesty of tag singing in a photo because it doesn't work. It just looks like people standing around looking at each other. And so investing in, an hour, maybe a couple hours with a pro can really make a big difference in your marketing assets. So that's my commercial for that. I am not professional photographer. So we'll get into then, I have 3 weekly posts. This could be 3 monthly posts, and I think that would be just fine. And this is the variety we talked about before. So if you're going to do a post a week, you're going to make one of them a video. That's either a video you've made, a video of a performance of yours, a link to a video that already exists either on Sweet Adelines or Barbershop Harmony YouTube channel, or another chorus that you enjoy that many have their own YouTube channels. The next week you're going to do a photo that could be something current, it could be something that just happened, it could be a throwback photo, it could be this is our director with a link to your webpage where you talk about meet our director. And then we'll have one that's going to be an article. This could be about a news article that talks about the chorus. It could be an article about an organization in your community that's doing something that you are either partnering with them or supporting in some way. It could be an article about healthy singing. It could be an article about how singing is good for you. It could be an article about a or a local school that is putting on a concert. It could be any of these things. So creating new content and sharing existing content both count as content. So you don't have to make everything from scratch every single time. I would be conservative about how often you're posting just like funny memes. I would not make that the bulk of your content. I would make that a sprinkle because they don't necessarily relate back to you as the chorus. So the trick is with all of these pieces of content that you're writing the copy around it that ties it directly to something the chorus is doing or supporting or values. So if it's a video, it's we're sharing this video because here's a video of our director doing X. We're picking up this song and here's another group singing it and we're so excited. Our next show is going to be all Beatles music. And so you have a fun link to a Beatles something, right? It all links back. Same with the photo, same with the article. It all links back to you, even if you didn't create that content. It's always framed. And lastly, as you're spending your weekly allotment of focus time on social channels for the chorus, as the chorus page, go around and like other things. So you should, as the chorus, you should be following all of the choruses and chapters in your region or district. I would follow all of the barbershop groups that are in your area. I would follow any community choral singing. I'd also follow any community music, anything. And then, 20 minutes a week you're going to spend as the chorus page liking and commenting on those things that show up in your feed because social media is social. Kaylin, you had a question.
Not a question, but a comment. I posted on a local community board and I put a picture of the chorus. I said, singers wanted, gave a short little bio, and we got one guest out of it.
Yeah.
So, doing the local community pages also, not just music pages, works very well too.
Yep. That's a great point. So ultimately, we want you, the entity that is the chorus, to be visible. And so what will happen is someone who is a dedicated symphony goer in your town, and they had a friend of theirs that sang in the symphony chorus years ago, and they love to go, and they follow their page and they read all their things, they're going to see, oh, there's this, you're going to be in there liking those posts, and every once in a while you're going to comment there, and they'll say, oh, that's cool. What's that group? This is a group that's commenting. What are they about? And then maybe they'll click on your profile and maybe they'll take a look, and maybe they'll follow you because they look at your feed and say, oh, wow, they post a lot of cool stuff that I also like as a lover of music. And so we'll follow your page. And it's planting seeds like that result in growth, however you decide to measure that, whether that's growth in followers, whether that's growth in guests, whether that's growth in reach of your social media channels. So be generous with likes and shares and comments as the chorus page. You never know what is going to lead back to something else. And it's just, that's the function of social media, right? Is to kind of introduce things around. I want to talk a minute about membership as a measurement of success. We as choruses get really hung up on the only way we measure success is by the number of members we have and the number of new members we get. This is not our only measure of success. And it's hard to detach from that. Social media is also not solely for recruitment. We're not building these channels only to recruit guests. And if you're doing that, it's probably not going to be a very interesting channel to read if it's only join. The whole purpose of what we're doing with our social channels is really to create another place where people can go to interact with us. And we're hoping to convert those people into some sort of relationship with us, whether it's a ticket buyer, whether it's a donor, whether it's someone who might become a guest and might want to sing with us, whether it's someone who has a friend who is a singer and might be a referral. It's all of those things all the time. So I like to bring this up, especially right now, because it's a kind of a scary time. We're all a little bit smaller. We're all feeling like, ooh, things just feel different, and we haven't been together. And so really think about, is membership really our top priority right now? And it might be, but one thing that I think is also a top priority is really building community. We've been apart from each other. We've been on Zoom. I think it's important right now, as we're coming back together, as we're restarting rehearsals, as events are starting back up, to really nurture the people that you have and make sure that they feel valued, they feel appreciated, they feel invited into helping you create content for social media. There are photos of them, there are their stories that are being shared. And that will, just the act of creating that content, whether it's together or individually, helps bring people together because they see themselves on their chorus page. And that's a big deal. That feels really good to people. People like seeing their name, they like seeing their photo. And that's a way to make everyone feel like really included. So, as you're looking really at this next year, take a moment I think it's important to take a moment and say, we need members. That is a factual thing. And are we feeding the members that we have and making sure that they feel seen and connected and valued? It might not, right now might not be the ultimate time to focus on recruitment. It might be a little bit later. We're not back to normal yet. And people aren't back to normal in their lives. For a lot of people to start something new because they're trying to get their kids back and they're trying to manage all of the end of summer and the beginning and fall, and it can be a little crazy. I think, and it's funny, there's no perfect time to do a membership drive. There's no worst time to do a membership drive. It's always going to be in conflict with something. And so for me, the most powerful time to really think about bringing in new members is when our chorus the members we have are feeling connected and excited. And they're feeling eager to bring people into our singing community. Right. So that's a little bit of my soapbox. But I think it's important to not see social as only recruitment, because it can do so much more for you. And so if you only measure your success by, well, you know what, I'm putting a lot of energy into our social media channels and we've only gotten one guest, those things don't necessarily relate to each other. You really want to be looking at, are we getting more likes and shares? Are we getting more people to follow our social channels? Those are your social channel metrics. And it might relate. And when you do get people come in, asking how they heard about you is critical, and making sure your social team knows, oh, you know what? We got 2 people in from Meetup or Facebook or whatever, that's awesome. And you want to communicate that back to your team. But those 2 things aren't always a one-to-one relationship. That's a little lecture-y, but I feel really passionate about it. So just to recap, step 1, pick a platform. It can be where you already are. It should definitely be where your audience is. And you only have to pick one and do it well to be successful. 2, set up a repeatable, achievable schedule of postings that you can consistently pull off over a period of months. And then as you're doing that, you will be able to kind of find your formula of how you work. Oh, it works best if I plan out and schedule all of my posts for a month. Or I like having a weekly sit down and I can focus for an hour or so and go to my library of things, or I can spend a little bit more time and I like kind of cultivating things and posting in the moment, whatever works for you. I do think there's some safety and there's some ease if you are building that library of content that you can just pull from, because it kind of lowers the stakes a little bit and puts a little less pressure, particularly if you're a team of one person, which is often the case. Let's talk about that team. There are really three main components to creating a social media channel and operating it well. The first is gathering content. That involves being in the place where it happens a lot of times. So that's being at the event, being out in the world, being on social media, being in the room, knowing who people are, knowing kind of what's going on. And it's kind of a quick pace and is often the most social of the social media tasks. So if you have members that are always taking photos at rehearsals and running around and they're at every event and they're capturing content, that is the person you want to talk to and say, hey, new team member, how would you like to help me by just gathering content and just sending me photos and sending me things for the content library, right? That's a really important person to have. And that can be the entire extent of their work on your team, is just content gathering. That's huge. The second kind of category of task is editing. So that is doing photo editing, maybe designing something in Canva, that's figuring out what the post says, that's figuring out the links. That person is really working in isolation, and it's kind of a little bit more thinky, and it's more for your designers, writers. They should really care about spelling and grammar and punctuation. Those are those people who it's like a kind of more of a solo gig, right? And then there's also kind of the project management component of posting and scheduling. So that's determining the flow, determining the frequency, kind of taking a bigger long range view of what is our channel looking like over a longer period of time? What does our feed look like? Am I on schedule with the plan? So these can be 3 different people. These can be one set of 4 or 5 people that just do content gathering, and then a person who does the other 2 things. That is often all the same person, which is a hard way to do it, but is often reality. So, but think about this job as a team, if you can, and look for people in your chorus that have aptitudes for these different areas. And then you can split it up into, hey, you're really good at this very small thing. If you could handle this piece of it, then I'll take it from here to here, or whatever that conversation is. But that is one way to build a team, because if you kind of look for volunteers to run our social media, that seems like, but if they're taking 1,000 pictures throughout the year of the chorus, they know a lot about that and they're already doing it. So tap into those things that people are already doing. The flip side of that, oh, well, before we get there, so often the answer to this question, people say, oh, well, we have a young member, and so that's who does our social because they're 20. And I will say, bummer, because right now, most 22-year-olds are really not on social just because of the way social is working right now. The person who should really run your social media is the person or the people who love social media. That is not limited to an age, a demographic, and it doesn't even have to be limited to a person that's in your chorus and is a member, is the other thing. This does not have to be a chorus member who does this. This can be a friend of the chorus, a spouse, a someone who is at all of your stuff and maybe doesn't consider themselves a singer, but is super into what you're doing. That can be your social media person. In some ways, that's easier because they're not in the chorus doing the stuff that we need to take pictures of. So looking for those people who are on social media, who are super active, those are the people you want to tap because they're already interested, they already know the landscape, and they're probably already making content for themselves all the time. So look for those people. They always have their phone in their hand. That's how you know them. Cool. Flip side of that, what if I am the entire team? And this is not uncommon at all. And it's hard. So I'm just gonna, it's tough to be a team of one. So if you are the team, you want to make sure that you have a good phone that takes great pictures. You want to then really prioritize. So you might need to scale down and we only manage one channel and focus that energy there. And that's fine. That is perfectly fine. It definitely means that you're going to say, hey, person who's maybe even a guest and is watching our rehearsal tonight, but if they're not singing, would you mind snapping a few pics of the chorus while we sing? And then you go up to them at the end of the night and you say, wonderful, will you send me those photos right now while I stand here? And you do that exchange, and your little team of one then takes that and goes away and does something with it. The key step in that process is, can you send that to me right now while I stand here in front of you? Because so often we get caught up and we end up like not getting those photos, or we don't make time to capture that, right? So that's a pro tip right there. And then also utilizing recap posts. So if you're in the middle of all the things, and most of us wear more than one hat and are doing multiple jobs, you can always, the next week or the next day or a few days later, do the recap post. So you can take photos and run around and do all that stuff. Don't worry about it in the moment. Go back, select, oh, these are the best 5 photos from rehearsal last night or from a sing out that we did. And then it's news reporting, right? The chorus was so thrilled to sing at the park on this day. And then you have, 5 or 6 photos from that you've curated, that you've pulled together, that maybe one of them is something that someone sent to you and a couple of things that you've taken or whatever that is. And also, if you are the team, you tend to be really, really busy, especially if it's a show day or a competition day. So make sure that you also just get to be you, the person. So delegation will help you do that, but sometimes you can't. And so just make sure that you are taking care of your own well-being. Cool. So questions before we move on to my next little segment here. Then we'll be have plenty of time for wrap-up questions too. Good? Okay, great.
Got a quick question.
Oh, sure.
This thing that you recommended to us, canva.com.
Yep.
If I wanted to make a video with words flashing across the screen and that kind of thing, it works video too?
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you can completely build video, put in, it's really fun, Mark. I highly encourage you, especially if you're doing a lot on YouTube, look into those video options there, because it's a lot. Okay. It's really fun. Cool. So getting into a little bit more detail, it matters what we say and it matters how we say it. So you're speaking, you or your team is speaking for an entity, right? You're not just speaking as a person, you are that entity as you write. And so there's a few things that I like to kind of encourage. One is maintaining a positive and encouraging tone. There is no sarcasm font on the internet yet, which is a bummer. joking around is great, but I wouldn't do it obviously funny. Being kind of sly and, sassy isn't a great move for your chorus channel. And also kind of to think about what kind of voice do you want to have. For in this scenario, as I like to think of the chorus social channels as the expert about the chorus. And so we're not surprised that the chorus sounds great. Of course, the chorus sounds great. We're not, just this big breathless fan writing, oh my gosh, we can't believe this performance went so well. We'd hardly practiced at all. Like, no, you are the expert. You are talking about, of course it was great. And here's what we did. And here's what was great about it. And so that's kind of the voice, it's a mix of expert and educator with a little bit of promoter built in. It's not only promoter, do this thing, buy a ticket, join our chorus, do this thing, buy a ticket, join our chorus, because that gets kind of exhausting. There's not relationship there, right? If you have a team that is more than just you that will be actively posting, just kind of have an early conversation about, admin permissions on the channel. I would suggest having 2 or 3 people just for if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, someone can get into the Facebook page. I would not have more than that because then it gets a little messy about who's doing what. I'd have some conversations about, okay, if something gets weird, if we get like a really negative, awful comment, what do we do? Who do we contact? Do we want to have a conversation about that? I would steer clear of just kind of wildly deleting things that make you nervous. Instead, look at those things as an opportunity for your team to kind of come together and say, oh, we got this kind of cranky comment. How can we educate and how can we provide an answer in a uplifting and positive way? How can we solve what is maybe a customer service problem about tickets or whatever? So have that plan in place for the escalation if something gets a little weird, and it works best, I think, to have a point person who is kind of in charge of making those edits, fixing spelling, pulling down a photo if a member says, oh, I don't want to be on the internet or whatever. Like, have someone that's the go-to for that on your team, but have a couple people who can get in and do that work if you're unable to, just so you have some backup. And be picky about who you have writing your posts. Like, be selective. They should know the chorus well. They should know deeply about spelling. They should, understand the goals for the social channels, that sort of thing. So, don't look at someone and say, oh, you're young, write this thing. A lot of times that doesn't work as well as having an experienced member. And maybe that's what they do, is just write captions for things and someone else does the posting and the technical things. You can split it up that way too. So be picky about that. And that brings us to time for some questions from you if we haven't touched on anything. I know in the submitted questions, there was a question about hashtags, which we have not talked about. Hashtags is its own universe. But what I like to recommend for choruses is to have one hashtag that you put on everything you post. So for my quartet that I'm in, Friends Club, I put hashtag Friends Club Quartet on every single post ever, so that when I go back and I want to look up a post or something, I could go into a search and say hashtag Friends Club Quartet, and it pulls up everything I've ever posted because that hashtag is on it. So that's really the purpose of those hashtags, is a sort mechanism. So often for a chorus, it would be hashtag chorus name, hashtag barbershop music, hashtag singing. I suggest 3 to 5. If you have a show or a series of things you're going to do, I would pick a hashtag for that. So hashtag name of your show, hashtag meet our team. And that is what you put that hashtag on all of the posts about that you make about, like, here's our music director and here's our treasurer and meet our member or whatever that is. So if you're doing a series of things, I recommend you assign those things its own hashtag so you can kind of then sort. And that's really the main function. They serve as a sorting function.
Is that only on Instagram?
No, that's Facebook, and just about every platform, Twitter. You're not going to find that on like message boards as much, or things like Meetup. It's, I think, more of like adding a tag as a separate thing, like tagging a photo or doing something like that. But yeah, you don't need to put 17 hashtags on every single post. That is a strategy and is great for people who want to do that. And you can also do 2 or 3, and that's just fine. Any topic questions that I can answer? Was it that good, you guys? My goodness.
A comment, and I can say this because Karen's in the room, but when I was the marketing director, marketing VP for Harmony Kings, and I was operating the website, I was operating Facebook, and I was operating YouTube until I finally found someone to take over YouTube. I would basically wait till Karen, because she took pictures of the chorus all over the place, until she posted them. Then I lifted them off of her Facebook page and then reposted them onto the to the chapter Facebook page for outreach. And it was amazing. And it's relatively simple to actually lift a photo off of somebody else's Facebook page and put it on one. In the meantime, Karen has taken over Facebook and doing most of the postings on that. But she was really good. She got this new phone, right, Karen? And she was taking panorama pictures, and she was taking all kinds of stuff, and she was doing little movies. And we used a lot of that. And as the director, she had the vantage point that she was always standing in front of us. So there were a lot of pictures of me that I never knew were taken until I saw them, on Karen's Facebook page. Karen, you want to talk about that?
I could blackmail you in a heartbeat, Greg, for sure. Yeah, and another thing that, because I record every single rehearsal, I record probably 2 or 3 songs, and something that I do quite often is to do screenshots from the videos. So then you don't have to, because you can take the picture while you're going, or you can go back and scroll through the video and find a really good pose within the video of someone looking really happy, or they're looking at the other singer, and you can get some really good pictures out of a video, which has been very handy. And then I take tons of pictures and lots of video. I do a lot of quartet chorus practice, and which is really fun. And so I have a lot of quartet pictures from that too, which I share usually.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
A question. We have a new gal who said she'd like to take on our social media, but she's new to the chorus. So is there any chance? But I asked her about this seminar, and she was busy today, but she said, well, I know most of that stuff because that's my job, but she's not really familiar with with barbershop music. So is there a time that she could chat with you, or is there another seminar tomorrow that maybe she could attend?
Sorry. Well, and so there are a few things. One thing if anyone comes to you ever and says, I would like to help with your social media, the answer is yes. And that's a great way actually to link her. It'd be really cool to link her up with other members who might have a longer history with your chorus, and maybe even have her do some interviews, or have her do some, do a call for photos, or have some chats just internally. Because if someone is interested enough, she probably already knows social media. She just doesn't have deep chorus knowledge. And sometimes that helps too. So, because she'll see new things that you
Right.
might not normally see. So I would say, let her go and just kind of say, yeah, can you, before you post, can you just kind of share with me, a few things, or give her a partner, or do some work sessions together, and just, do a little oversight at the beginning. But if you like the direction, if you like what she's capturing, if you like the direction it's going, like, let her go. And you or anyone on the leadership team or anyone in the chorus can kind of say, oh, there's this kind of cool thing happening. It'd be great if you came to this sectional, or do you want to, or whatever that is. There are ways to just kind of really, and as a new member, it's fun to have a job and fun to kind of be important a little bit. And
To answer the other portion of your question, no, there's not another workshop tomorrow. However, I do make myself available for one-on-ones, either through a Zoom meeting or telephone call. So the same email that you use to contact me about this workshop, I make myself available. I'm retired right now. I have no life, and this is my life. Is trying to help people get back into the thing, because we're in a regardless of what happens, we're in a COVID era, and COVID is here to stay, and in one way or another, but we have to continue functioning and going forward that way. So I'm willing to help. I see Judith has her hand up.
I think it would help if we advised her to follow other organizations within
Yes.
our region, someone who's doing it really well. So maybe
Yes.
we need to do a bit of research and set her up that way, so she could find out what a good organization is doing. Or
I would recommend Lynn Pauls, Pauls. She's with Echo Valley, or Valley Echo Chorus. It's a Sweet Ads chorus, and she's somewhere in Canada. I can't remember, but she's really up on that stuff.
Okay, we'll track her down. I have another question. We're not on YouTube. We are doing Facebook. How do people find us if we start up on YouTube? How do they find us?
You post it on your Facebook and you say, hey, we've started a new Facebook, or we've started a new YouTube channel. Follow us on YouTube.
When I look on Facebook, I have the groups and the things that I watch, the content that I'm familiar with, but our posting is in a separate one. How do people find us?
Well, there are a few ways. One is by growing your followers. So people who follow your page should see your posts in their own feed. Another way is to have chorus members or other people who follow the page like those posts. So have them like them, or have them, if they want to share them, that's even better. But if they like or comment, the more activity on a particular post will then the algorithm goes, oh, there's kind of some interest in this post, so I'm going to show it to more people. So that is a way that members can really participate and help. They don't have to share on their channel every single post that the chorus makes, but they can like or comment, and that does make a big difference. Another thing you might consider is if you have any sort of internal anything with your members, it'd be sending them that new YouTube channel link, and maybe a little announcement that they could send out to their people. If you have any sort of email or newsletter, or if the region has a newsletter, that's also a great way to do that. Just kind of say, hey, we're launching a new Facebook page, and really just keep it populated, keep sharing it. And if the one thing I like to say, and I didn't really stress earlier, social media is a mutual fund, and it takes a long time. And so you just keep putting it out there, and keep putting it out there, and keep putting it out there. Because if you say, well, I posted about this 2 days ago and nothing has happened, Yes, that is how that works. So it takes a long time. You're really investing. And so utilizing that frequency and that variety of content and just keeping all of that moving forward over time, that will grow your audience, and then more and more people will see that. But it takes a while.
This is the 5-minute warning.
Great, thanks, Amy.
Great. You bet.
I was going to ask
Tyler.
too, sort of based on that, one of the questions that I asked was, I've sort of done very inexact experiments where I've uploaded a video directly to Facebook, and then I've posted a YouTube video to Facebook, and it seems like the videos posted to Facebook, like, are they mad at each other? Do they fight with each other? No, like, quality difference, but the Facebook posted photo will get a ton of likes and the YouTube one won't. And I have thought of YouTube. I'm actually glad you said what you did about not everything has to be singing, because I think of YouTube as our main repository, and I'm trying to just put that stuff out everywhere. But I feel like when I cross post from YouTube to Facebook, it doesn't do as well as if I upload something directly. And I don't know if that's true or if it's my imagination.
No, that is true. And that is Facebook saying, we want everyone to stay in Facebook. So we're going to promote the things that are posted natively in Facebook over links to the outside. Now, we haven't talked about copyright, and that is where, for me, the main difference is direct uploads to Facebook are in a super gray area around copyright. And so if it's public domain, go for it, knock yourself out. If it's not, the Facebook algorithm cannot really detect a cappella covers of songs as being a copyright infringement. It is so unlikely that anything will happen from Barbershop choruses uploading their content. Is it technically against their copyright terms? Yes. So it's a little bit of a gray area. Will it result in your Facebook page getting terminated and you being banned forever? Probably not. But it is technically not covering the copyright. Now, things that are on YouTube with and it's monetized and artists can say, that is my song, I would like my 2 pennies, please. Then all those YouTube links, it takes care of all of that. But yeah, Tyler, you're 100% right that the native video in Facebook does get promoted more.
Would you just upload to both? If you're like, I have this great video and I want to share it on Facebook, but I want it to do well, but I also want it in YouTube for documentation. Would you just do both? Is that weird? No, okay.
No. Put things where people can find it. Put things where people can find it.
So you're not weird. So you're not weird.
Yeah.
No.
The first thing that would happen if somebody was going to try and come after you for copyright infringement, the first thing you're going to get is a cease and desist. And because I violated a copyright, and that's the first thing I got was a cease and desist. And I had 14 days to take it down and make it go away, and I did, and nothing more happened to it. But we do need to be aware that there are people whose livelihood depends upon those copyrights. And for you guys, for Seattle Sea Chordsmen, your National Night Out, which was a great promotion, I posted it to the EVG YouTube page. I posted it also on my own personal page, and I put on Facebook. I downloaded it from YouTube, and then I posted it directly to Facebook to avoid that very thing. And you guys got all kinds of likes, and I'm not even a member of your group, so it can help. Mm-hmm. And we are now 1 minute left. So is any last minute thing for the good of the order? I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for honoring a start time that we started on time, and I want to honor that by ending on time. I would like to say a special thank you, and everybody can unmute and say thank you to Amy Rose.
Yay!
So much. That's great.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Go forth, be brave, try things. You can't break it. Just go do things.
Right. And as I like to say, you are free to move about the cabin.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Greg.